my wonderful fabulos and fabulas. Thank you for joining me for another read aloud of one of my most favorite stories. Today I'm going to read to you the story of Ferdinand by Munro Leaf. I hope you enjoy listening to it and seeing and hearing it with your ears as much as I enjoy reading it to you. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. But not Ferdinand. He liked to sit just quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. "I like it better here, where I can sit just quietly and smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she let him just sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and very strong. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to sit just quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. Look at those silly hats. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping so the men would think that they were very, very, very strong and fierce and pick them. My fabulos and fabulas, the word in Spanish for very is muy, muy. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care. So he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. Fabulos and fabulas, if you've heard this story before, you know what's going to happen. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him. And that is just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Wow, did that hurt! Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The word crazy in Spanish is loco. Loco. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the fights in Madrid. Oh. So they took him away for the bullfight that day in a cart. What a day it was! Flags were flying, bands were playing. And all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. Look at the beautiful ladies. Bonita is pretty in Spanish. Bonita. They had a parade into the bull ring. I love the details in the picture. The drawings are by Robert Lawson. Those are called illustrations. First came the bandolieros with long sharp pins with ribbons on them to stick in the bull to make him mad. Next came the picaderos, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome. Guapo means handsome in Spanish. Guapo. He thought he was very handsome and bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword, and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull, and you know who that was, don't you? Ferdinand. He looks so small there. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the bandolieros were afraid of him, and the picadores were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran into the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and stick his horns around. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers in all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. He smelled the flowers. It's not that he just stunk really bad and smelled. He was smelling the flowers, just clarifying that. He wouldn't fight and be fierce no matter what they did. He just sat there and smelled the flowers. And the bandolieros were so mad, and the picadores were madder, and the matador was so mad he cried because he couldn't show off with his cape and sword. Oh, I think the matador had a crying fit. So they had to take Ferdinand home. And for all I know, he's sitting there still under his favorite cork tree, smelling the flowers just quietly. And he is happy. The end. Boys and girls, my fabulos and fabulas, do you know why they showed that flower? I think it's the flower he sat on when he sat on the bee. Thank you so much for joining me today. Yo te amo. You are so very important to me, and I hope you enjoyed this story. Reading is so important to all of us, and I love sharing these stories with you. Hasta luego. I'll see you later.